So hey, what's up guys? So what we're going to do is every month, this is May 15th, 2014, we're going to do about halfway in the month, we're going to look at PC builds, PC build recommendations. And I'm going to try to get you guys the best bang for your buck. The goal of my thing is a lot of times you see PC builds, and when people go super cheap or whatnot, the problem is you get boards that aren't really good for overclocking or whatever else the problem is. Now, overclocking is not my main ultimate goal with this. This is to get you uh, good quality components and PC parts, but at a fair price, basically, is what I'm saying. So it's not going to be the cheapest, but it's going to be like something that you can put together and know it's going to be rock solid. So that is really where I'm going with this. So what we're going to be doing is uh, a low, medium, and high-end build. So I'd say somewhere like in the $500 range, $750, and then $1,000. So we're going to start off with the $1,000 machine today. And the other thing I'm real stickler about is the build has to include a copy of Windows, because you're going to use Windows to game. Unless you're going to use SteamOS, then you can use the money to upgrade your GPU or whatever. But I don't think it's viable right now. So let's get started. So we are looking at the AMD FX 8350. It has gone down in price somewhat. So you can see it's $180 or it used to be $200. I really like this processor. Been out for a few years now. Main reasons I really like it is it's got threads. So just like an i7 that has 8 threads, this is 8 threads and 8 actual cores, which means at the end of the day, this is really good for doing video capture, streaming, things like that. Because you can just do the H.264 encoding off the fly on this thing, and it's really fast. Runs at 4 gigs, got a little turbo boost on it for 4.2. Overclocks really well. Although that's not my main focus, I think for gaming this is going to run just fine at the speed that it's at. If you want to overclock it, that's options there, and the motherboard I'm going to give you is going to support it. But the other thing is too is gaming. We're looking at some games like Wolfenstein's coming out, Watch Dogs is coming out. They're both going to be leveraging 8 threads or 8 cores. We've also got a couple others in the past. I think Crysis. What was the other one I was thinking of the other day? Crysis and Battlefield 4, and especially stuff that runs on Mantle. They've already said if you got 8, however many threads you got in Mantle, it's going to leverage it. So this is a good processor for gaming, I think, and it's a pretty good price, especially right now. There we go. Or, there we go. Anyways, I'm still getting used to this. So for cooling, I'm obviously not going to use the horrible AMD heatsink. However, I will warn you that may be an option for a little while. I'll tell you why. But anyways, here we've got the Noctua NHU12S. I chose this because it's dead quiet. It runs super nice and cool. It'll run just fine for stock speeds. You'll be surprised how low it is. It has everything you need, the thermal compound, all that stuff. Mounting brackets, like people call this the Cadillac of coolers for a reason. It's really nice. And for 45 bucks, you can't beat it. Now, the thing I want to warn you about, this is coming from NCIX US. So I don't like the trash talk people, companies or anything like that. I have had a few friends order things from NCIX. I had a friend order a Fractal Define mini case there. I had another friend order an SSD there. Both cases, it seemed to take a really long time for them to get their parts to where they got their stuff from Newegg and Amazon like a full week later. It took like a month for stuff to get there. So I am recommending this because of the price. I normally wouldn't because of their track record with my friends so far, but it's NCIX is a good company. I just think they need to get their shit together in the US. Having said that, I don't like running AMD processors off the stock heatsink, but if you have to do it for an extra week until you get your cooler, that's fine. Go ahead and do that. So next, we've got the Asus Sabertooth 990FX Revision 2 AM3 Plus. This full ATX board and I like this for lots of multiple reasons. It's got lots of I/O ports on it, and it is built like a freaking tank. Now, don't expect like the greatest sound or anything like that, but the motherboard sounds just fine. It's using an ALC 892 chip from Realtek. Sounds fine. It's actually what I'm using on my motherboard, and I don't have any problems with it. So if you're just using gaming headphones or whatnot, you'll be fine with it. So this is a Tough Series board. So the nice thing about them are they actually have a 5-year warranty. So that 3-4 years is not going to be a problem. The board decides to break down, you just get a hold of ASUS. They'll talk to you and they'll send a new one out to you. It's that easy. There are cheaper 990FX boards, but like I said, I like this one. It's built like a tank. I've used it a couple of times. And then, if you guys know Logan over at Tech Syndicate, actually Pistol's machine runs off of this same motherboard. I don't know if it's the revision 2, but it's at least the same class board. Matter of fact, I got it a boxed version, and a MOSFET was missing off of it, and I guess they just soldered a new one on, and it's been running fine ever since. So that tells you something about how tough these guys are. So that's why I'm recommending it. The other reason we went with full-size ATX is because there's really no micro ATX boards for AM3 Plus. They just all kind of suck and are terrible, and I wouldn't recommend them on anybody. Also, if this is your first time building a machine, you're going to love having that extra space. It's going to work out instead of having to build in a small machine. I personally like small micro ATX boards and small micro ATX machines, but I'm just trying to make this as noob friendly as we can make it, so to speak. Okay, for the memory, Kingston HyperX Fury 8 gigabytes. This runs at 1600 megahertz, and there's multiple colors. I just thought the black would look best with this motherboard, but there's also blue, red, white. And one thing I want to note, for the same price, for some reason, oh, nope, doesn't say. Okay. Well, if you go to PC Part Picker, it says these are 1866, which the CPU does support. It's fine that they're at 1600. You're not going to get that much more speed in a gaming gorilla. You're not going to get anything. It's not going to matter. But they're a good solid memory for a good price, and that's why I chose them. If you're going to do more productivity stuff, video and whatnot, you're obviously going to need more RAM, but it's just to get you started. Okay, next we got a Seagate 1 terabyte solid state hybrid drive. So a lot of people are recommending the Western Digital Caviar Blue 1 terabyte and Barracuda because they're in the $60 price range. I decided to go a little bit higher because this is a SSHD now. SSHD, it's just it's a regular mechanical hard drive that has this one has 8 gigs of solid state memory on it. So it still spins up the same, still mechanically the same, except for what this does is it's going to cache data. So it's going to look at what you use the most, like you're going to boot up your computer all the time. So it's going to cache a little bit of that data into the SSHD, so you boot up like really quick. It's going to feel, in a lot of cases, like just like you had a SSD installed in your system. Maybe a little bit slower, not quite as fast, but other things like when you start like a game, you start like 2-3 times, it's gonna be like running off a mechanical drive. You start it up the 3rd time, it's cached on there because it's saying that you're using that all the time. It's gonna boot the game a lot quicker. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds without having to spend a whole lot of money. Another way I like to look at this is it's kind of like if you have a SSD boot drive and you use the rest of the memory to do memory caching. It's the same idea, there's just not as much memory there. But it's a 1 terabyte drive regardless, and I figured since you got SATA 6 on the board, why not use SATA 6 on the drive? Alright, so next I gotta hit this. There we go. So I have multiple reasons for choosing this. This is the XFX Black Edition Double D. Sounds kind of dirty. R9 280 graphics card. So this is not a 280X. I didn't choose 280X, but It's also like a lot more expensive. So I did get this for a few reasons, and one thing I do have to mention here before we go any further, if you look at my PC part picker list here, it's going to see a NCIX. Don't get the NCIX one. It's a little bit cheaper, but pay the extra money and get the Newegg one, because it comes with the Never Settle Gold bundle, and you get basically to choose 3 games that AMD's come up with. Actually, I'm not really sure what it was. I think it was Thief and a couple other ones. And then there's actually some stuff on the bundle that is like a couple indie games. Anyways, this is 1792 processors running at 1 gig. 3 gigs of RAM. This is another reason why I chose this, is it's 3 gigs with a really wide memory bus. And there are some games actually starting to use this, like Titanfall. For the highest texture setting, you need 3 gigs. Which is something that kind of makes me cry a little bit, but it's not like the textures are that great in Titanfall anyways. So this is a good little card. You can do Crossfire for later on if you want or whatnot. You'll have to upgrade the power supply that I've given you because I'm trying to keep the price down, but great little card. I think the card actually looks pretty damn stunning. I like it. And for overclocking, you should be able to overclock this to 1100 megahertz, no problem. Can't make any guarantees, but it's one big ass card with a hell of a cooler on it. Power supply. We're going with the Seasonic M12, I guess 2 is how you would say that. Anyways, 520 watt power supply. Now, a lot of you may be thinking, and if you look at the XFX, they recommend a 750. I'm going to say that's bullshit. I've used the 280 before. Actually, not the 280, but the 7950, which the 280 is just a rebranding of that. And the Seasonic power supply should power this no problem. I also like it because it is a modular power supply, and it's got a ball bearing fan built into it. So, and Seasonics are just flipping awesome. 5-year warranty on this sucker too, so it's pretty nice and should power everything that you need for a good long time. Okay, for the case, you can pick your own case. It doesn't matter. I just happen to like fractal design stuff, and this is the blackout edition. I think the blackout edition with the little window would look pretty sweet. And this is also a silence optimized case, so there's like padding and stuff on the inside that keeps it from getting really super loud. I actually use a fractal define mini, the micro ATX case, and I've had it for a while, and it's nice. I got my fans like blazing fast in here, and it doesn't ever get like too loud at all. Then you need a copy of Windows 8, and it's going to be like 90 bucks. I've never used PC Outlet, but they had the cheapest price, and you can choose this or somebody else if you like. And then to finish it off, we're just taking for granted. I install everything with a USB stick nowadays. I don't even use DVDs anymore for this. I would just take the DVD and format some memory stick to FAT32, dump the contents of the disk onto that, and then you're good to go for a UEFI boot. However, if you still need it, this is just an example. I know like the deal's ending today. Here's a light on for like 20 bucks. Whatever. I mean, after a certain point, I'm just using them for cup holders. I've got one still around that I use here that's fine, but I bought this like years ago. I don't think I've even like touched it very much this year to have to do anything. As a matter of fact, I don't think I've touched it this year. So anyways, that is the build list for the $1,000 machine, and I will put a link on the description below. Like I said, any constructive criticism, any changes you want to make, feel free. And we will be back probably tomorrow for the $750 and $500 build. So I will see you guys later.